blocks that we would see that's stopping us getting what we want. So we're procrastinating, we feel overwhelmed and can't get started, we fear of judgment, or fear failure, or even success, and we are talking negatively to ourselves. But what is the real block behind that in the way? Okay? If you think you're unstoppable, if you believe you're unstoppable, if you believe you can do anything you want, why wouldn't you go out and get it? And if you come across obstacles in your way, difficulties, you'll push through that. It's about having self-efficacy. So self-efficacy. And if you're not sure if you've got one of these wounds, have a little sit down and think about how you speak to yourself. Because if you're speaking to yourself negatively, if you say, I can't do this, I'm not good at that, then you definitely have. So that's the reasons, the surface reasons, I guess, the blocks that we would see that's stopping us getting what we want. So we're procrastinating, we feel overwhelmed and can't get started, we fear of judgment, or fear failure, or even success, and we are talking negatively to ourselves. But what is the real block behind that? Okay, now we've touched on self-sabotage, but it all comes down basically to limiting beliefs. So it's beliefs about yourself, and because in your subconscious you believe that that's not possible for you, then all these things get in the way. If you think you're unstoppable, if you believe you're unstoppable, if you believe you can do anything you want, why wouldn't you go out and get it? And if you come across obstacles in your way, difficulties, you'll push through that. It's about having self-efficacy. So self-efficacy is your belief in your skill set and your resilience to work towards a goal even when it gets tough. Yeah. So the real reason is limiting beliefs, and they are also, going deeper, linked to wounds.
Yes, that's it. It is that fear of, even it's that fear of rejection. But like, you know, we've got this core abandonment wound, this rejection wound due to our inner child, and everyone has it. No matter what kind of childhood you had, there's going to be some kind of wound in there. There's that fear of rejection. But that's fear, that's that lack of self-worth. That, you know, fearing that you don't deserve it, that you're not good enough. You know, who are you to achieve this? And, you know, that's the main objective. And I think that self-worth wound is kind of the common denominator behind anything that we do, whether it's relationships, career, or anything we want to achieve. It still comes back down to that feeling of not feeling worthy.
Yeah. And if you're not sure if you've got one of these wounds, have a little sit down and think about how you speak to yourself. Because if you're speaking to yourself negatively, if you say, I can't do this, I'm not good at that, then you definitely have. That, you know, and we can change it at the surface level, and that also works. So tools that we can use to help us with that are things like affirmations. So that's when we say we are something, or we can do something. And what happens is it begins to rewire your brain, because you're speaking positively about yourself. You're saying, I am able to do this. I am good at that. And you can change your belief that way. It works particularly well in meditation, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Meditation is an urgent cure, and reprogramming your mind through meditation is absolutely so beneficial. You know, and that's where I've overcome so many blocks for myself. Is, you know, you can change how you see yourself through meditation and affirmation. You are really, like, we've been brainwashed into believing that we're not. Like, we were born a clean slate. We weren't born unworthy. We were just born seeking love. And we've learned that we felt that we weren't good enough, or that we needed to strive for that attention or that validation. So in coming back to the fact that, like, you know, that was learned behavior. That toxicity, that feeling of not being good enough, that was learned behavior. We can unlearn it. We can rewire our brains into knowing that we are unconditionally lovable, and that we're, you know, capable of unconditionally loving. And it's all boils down to that. It's just retraining your brain into positivity and retraining it into the truth.
Yeah. And we hear a lot about that now, about neuroplasticity. So your brain's ability to make new connections. And so this is why we say about having to just have a go and just get started, because what we need is positive experiences to overwrite the negative experiences. We need positive affirmations to overwrite the negative self-talk that we have. And it's regular practice. It builds and builds, and you can change things so incredibly fast. Like in a, I mean, I remember that my son has been doing karate for much longer, but both my sons have. But one of them had already been competing and won medals before I even started karate, and I was sat watching him. And this was maybe 6 months before I started karate, and I think I even put it on a Facebook post that I was so proud of him because he got up and done this kata, and he'd done fighting in front of all these people watching. And I was like, I would never be able to do that. And then like 6 months later, I was doing it,
Yeah.
you know? And it was, if I carried that belief, if I kept that belief, if I wasn't doing meditation and changing my mindset, then when I was invited, I probably would have still done karate. Because I started karate because I thought I was really unhealthy. I wasn't healthy, and I was worried about my heart, and I was waiting for tests to be done. So I was like, I'm just going to have to do what they're likely going to tell me to do anyway. So, you know, eat healthy and all that kind of stuff. And so the easiest thing for me to do was to just join in with the kids rather than try and find time to go to the gym or whatever. So I decided I was going to join karate, and then I was invited onto the squad. Now, if I'd had that I could never stand in front of people and fight. I could never stand in front of people and do kata. If I still had that belief, then I would have declined, you know.
Yeah.
And
And
it was only
that's amazing. Like just the change of mindset, and now you're competing. Like you've already competed for the GB team, and you're doing it again. Like you know what I
yeah,
mean? Like
yeah,
that's a literally change of mindset. Like I could never do something like that to literally going beyond doing it.
yeah, like beyond. And once you get started, when you're reckless, if you once you recklessly believe in yourself,
Blind
it's
faith.
amazing what
uh,
happens. Like things
it
that
is. It
you just
really is.
wouldn't believe. You know, it's just like, I'm going to give it a go. Why not?
Yeah.
Why can't I? You know. And then you surprise yourself, and then you have more confidence in yourself to survive situations that are unfamiliar. And it's
Yeah.
fair to say that I was someone who was very much stuck in my comfort zone of negativity and not trying anything and talking badly to myself and not feeling very happy there, but not fear of stepping out of that, fear of judgment, fear of everything. I think I was scared of everything. Not so much now, but yeah. So it's once you start making these steps, things can move really fast, can't
Yeah.
they?
It's a simple thing as well. Like, you know, this reminds me, like a few years ago, like, you know, when I was still in the old belief system, it was like you have to work the system. You have to be a slave to society. You have to, you know, join the corporate ladder, do all that kind of stuff. And that was what we thought our dream was. And, you know, when we're like, you know, you'd have dreams, like, oh, geez, I'd love to do that, but I could never do it. And, you know, I remember looking at my favorite DJ, and I was watching that video. And I was like, I could just feel the music, and I was like, oh, I'd love to be able to do that for people. I was like, oh my God, I'd love to be a DJ. And I was like, no, but I can't do that. And I was like, no, hold on now. I will be a DJ. And you know what? Everything just fell into place, and I was only temporary because, you know, I changed coaching, but like, I actually achieved becoming a DJ because instead of saying, oh, that would be lovely, I said, no, I will be. And everything fell into place for it to happen. And, you know, the same thing with the coaching, like it was just like, could I ever be a coach? And I was like, no, I will. It's something I want to do. I can. And then I achieved. You know what I mean? We have to stop getting out. We have to get out of our own way instead of saying, I wish. Say you will.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's so simple to do. That's why I was like, oh my God, when when I realized these small steps that you can do, how much your life can change in such a short amount of time. I was like, I need to tell people. I want everybody to
I
know
know.
this, and everyone.
Oh, like the power of manifestation is so real. Instead of like that's the thing. The power of manifestation is so real. So if you think you can't do something, you're right. If you think you can, you're also right. That Henry Ford quote: "If you think you can or you think you can't, you are right." Just change how you think. Stop living in that miserable existence. You can change it.
Absolutely, yeah. You just have to believe that you can.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Believe you can, and you're halfway there. And you believe in yourself, and anything is possible. I have so many quotes in my life.
You're
Just
like a
believe.
little book of quotes.
Believe it and you can achieve it. Positive mind, positive life.
So, what steps could we take? So, if you are struggling with overwhelm, some practical tips is, I mean, if you is read Atomic Habits,
Yeah, that's brilliant.
because that's great for being seeing how you can break things down and fit them into your life and build them up so that they are less effortful. So, when a task is large, the motivation required to start the task is also large. And then if you do something and it exhausts you and it feels painful, then the next time it takes even more motivation to do it because you have that negative experience attached to it. However, if you break it down small, and don't be shy to break it down ridiculously small
Yeah,
at
that's
the
why
start.
not even a baby step. Break your baby steps into milli steps and just take that tiny little step every day. And I swear, in a year, you'll get so far if you just do the tiny step every day.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, breaking things down into steps. I highly advise the book Atomic Habits. That's really great. If you're finding it hard, if every new year you go, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that, and then you don't, you get to a week and then you lose motivation for it, then that's the thing. You see, motivation is effortful, and often motivation is only required to initiate something, because something once you start the task it becomes self-motivating.
Yeah.
But when you look at the task and it looks massive, and actually sometimes that's just your perception, it's not that big. How many times have you gone, oh, put it off, put it off, put it
Yeah,
off,
and
and
you
then you do that job for
actually then enjoy
5 minutes?
it.
Yeah, all the time.
Like I've done it so many times, so afraid, and so overwhelmed, and then you do it, and you're like, I love this. Why did I do it yesterday?
Yeah. Yeah, so it's reducing the motivation required to start the task. So you do that by making it small, and the best way to do that is make it small and regular. So instead of, like, for example, planning to tidy your whole house in one day, you might do 5 to 20 minutes every day, and over the month you'll have a sparkling new house. Or if you have lots of coursework to do, it's chunking it up into manageable bits. And if you feel like doing more, you can do more. Often, once we get into it,
Yeah,
we
I know
find it
that
hard to
like this.
stop, don't we?
Yeah, I was like, I'll break it up into 4 sections. It won't be too hard. I ended up doing 2.5 sections in the first day. I was like, Jesus, this is so much easier than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
And it really is like that. What we put ourselves through so much hassle, worrying about nothing, and we actually end up really enjoying the thing then afterwards. So, go easy on yourself, because that's the thing. Like, we are so hard on ourselves. But, just take it easy, take one step at a time, and just, push yourself forward just that tiny little step.
Absolutely, yeah. And remembering to little rewards. Well done.
Rewards, yeah. Exactly, yeah.
Because that's motivating.
That is,
Or
I find that myself. I find it, yeah, I find that very hard at the start. It's like, I do something and then I'd rush to the next thing. I'd be like, oh my God, I have to get this done because that wasn't good enough. And like, in actual fact, if you sit there for a minute and just say, well done, look how much you've achieved in the last year, you're actually kind of going to go, wow, this is working. I want to push forward. And you push yourself forward quicker that way.
Yeah, we actually, I think, was it maybe a month ago, we were having a conversation about this, weren't we? When we're like, wow, how far have we come?
I
How much
know,
have we done?
wow,
When
yeah,
we realised we hadn't even known each other for a year,
yeah.
we're like,
Like,
what? We've done
just
all
to look
this
back on the
stuff.
last year, like where we were, like we first met, I think it's the 22nd, 23rd of May last year. And like, even just before that, you know, we weren't who we are now. We've transformed so much, and we're so much more confident, and we're actually achieving so much in the last year. It's mind blowing when you look
It
back.
is, yeah. Yeah. And it was all taking little steps. And it's
Mm.
fair to say that I don't think I would be as far as I am if it wasn't for you, you know, because
Difficult, yeah,
it's finding your partner in crime sort of thing.
yes,
It's finding
exactly,
your person to bounce ideas off, to lift you up when you're deflated, to cheer you
yeah,
on when you're doing well, to suggest things that are
yes,
feel uncomfortable and support you through that. And it's, you know, if you can find, and that's why coaches are great actually, because we're both coaches, so we coach each other, and that's why, and friends obviously,
yeah.
and business partners. But yeah, it was our friendship and our coaching each other that's helped keep us going.
Mm.
So that there's a real value in coaching.
But the real
It's not
value in
like
having,
therapy.
yeah,
Therapy, that there is an element of therapy in our style of coaching, I would say, because we do,
oh,
to get you unstuck. Sometimes we need to process the things that are holding us back, and they're often, you know, inner child work, or you know, things that have happened in our past, or things emotions or situations that we haven't processed, people we haven't forgiven, including ourselves.
yeah,
So there is an element that's a bit like therapy, but a lot of coaching is about the power being in the now, and what can we do now to move this forward. What
yeah.
habit can we have now that's going to overcome that problem. So it's like
But that's,
that's why I
yeah,
love coaching. It's like it's the perfect balance between helping you sort that old stuff out, and giving you the accountability and the belief in yourself, and the gentle, friendly push
push you
to
forward.
go
Yeah.
for what you
But
want, and keep
that's
taking
the
those steps.
importance of who you have in your environment. So, like, you know, if you're still surrounded by lower vibration energies, which is that old mindset, that lack mentality, you know, it's hard to push out of that. But
Mm-hmm.
when you surround yourself with the right friends, coaches, mentors, you can achieve more. So, like, you know, if you want a high vibe reality, you have to, you know, surround yourself with high vibe people.
Yeah.
So, you know, we were both on the same journey. You know, we're both trying to improve ourselves. So we're able to push each other and, you know, encourage each other as well. Whereas if we were still surrounded by people who weren't doing what we were
Mm-hmm.
doing, we wouldn't move anywhere. So that's another really important thing to get motivated, is surround yourself with the right people.
Yeah. And that's not to say fall out with the people that
Oh no.
you, but it's noticing the people that empower you and give you energy, and trying to spend more
Yeah.
time with them, you know. And
Yeah.
also, you know, you might think, well, I want to do this thing, and I don't know anybody that does that. But through I didn't know anyone who's a coach, and now I know loads of coaches.
Exactly.
Like, most of the people I know are coaches now. So it's putting yourself out there, and there will also be people that you will find that's on that journey that will be your people, that
Exactly.
you'll find your people on your journey. But you have to start the journey in the first place, don't
Yeah.
you?
And there's that phrase, it's like you are the five people, and the five people you spend the most time with, that's who
Mm-hmm.
you're going to be like. So if the five people you spend the most time with are not in the same mindset as you, you know, they're going to just bring you back down. So you need to surround yourself with people, you know, on that motivation ladder in a sense. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah,
like, you know,
and another thing is mentors, isn't
yeah,
it? So before you we found each other, or and the coaching community, we watched lots of things on YouTube that inspired
yeah.
us, that made us believe
But even
that there was
Tony
something
Robbins and
better.
Jean Graziosi, even Matthew McConaughey was another one, Trent Shelton, all these motivational speakers. It was just, and that gave me the spark to go into coaching. Do you know what I mean? Now this is it, like, you know, I never watched live events before. I was kind of allergic, like, do you know what I mean? And I came across it when I was in a really low vibrational energy. I was healing from other traumatic, toxic dynamic, and I'd lost all sense of self, lost all sense of direction. And I started to watch Tony and Dean, and I was just like, wow. my mindset completely changed. I still watch these guys, and I'm still on that ladder of going, yes, let me achieve more. They motivate you to achieve that more. Like, instead of, wasting your time just mindlessly scrolling, find the people that are going to pull you ahead.
Yeah, and it's worth saying at this point that we should be very mindful of what we are watching. So I spent a lot of time watching motivational speakers and on lives with motivational people, and coaching each other with motivation, because the coaching community, our little group, are just so inspiring, aren't they? They've
Yeah.
all got such skills and qualities, and it's I'm not spending time watching horror movies, and I'm not spending time watching the news, and I'm not spending time, keeping up with Big Brother or whatever it is
Oh
that's on telly at the
my
moment.
God. Sorry, but like Big Brother or Love Island, I'm like, what are you doing watching this stuff? That would actually deplete your brain. Do you know what I mean? Watching things like that.
I thought it was weird, actually, when my kids were little. I think they still do it sometimes now. Instead of playing a game, they would watch somebody else playing a game. I'm like, what is this weird thing
I,
that
I used to love doing that. I used to love watching my brother play PlayStation, and I'd be right into it. Like, even watching somebody play FIFA soccer, I'd be like, yes, this is brilliant, because at least if I'm not playing, I can't lose.
Yeah, but that's the thing. You can't lose, but you're not doing your own life.
I know.
I,
And that was me before. Like, now, obviously, I'd rather partake in something. But before, I was like on the sidelines going, yes, this is fun.
yeah, yeah. And I think that's the problem with computer games. I think it gives our children or our adults, if they're playing them, it gives them a false sense of achievement. Now,
Mm.
I do remember that I once said to some children who weren't doing their homework, this is a long time ago, and they were playing Call of Duty a lot. And I was like, well, you're not going to make that a job. And they proved me wrong.
Yeah,
Because
I'm
they were
just about
like,
to say, if
yeah,
you're actually
well,
dedicated enough to gaming, you can make gaming a job, and a good
yeah,
job at that. Like, so you have to be. It's about dedication, though, as well. So
yeah,
at
yeah.
least they achieved something from it anyway.
Well, I think they're living the high life in America now. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
it's awesome.
so yeah, that was a long time ago when when I was quite plugged into institutionalized thinking. It just shows, that you can make anything work if you really
That's
put
it. You
the
can
effort.
make anything your career or your passion, and get money for it. No matter what it is, you can turn your hobby into your passion. Into a paid passion. Like, it's that simple. It really is.
Yeah.
Well, it is simple.
But
It's
for a lot of
difficult.
people who are watching, other people playing games on YouTube, or it gives like a false sense. You're spending a lot of hours not achieving things. Now, some people do. Some people make it a career, but yeah, not so many.